What's up, guys? Welcome back to Hot Rod Garage. Moving forward, we found a motor and transmission for the Ranchero that we have. So I want to tune you guys in on that and show you what we got. So let's go ahead, let's get started. Here it is, Big Block Ford. We got a 460 cubic inch engine here with a C6 transmission. As you can see, it has been sitting for quite some time. We just recently pulled this out of a 1972 Mercury Grand Marquis. It's been sitting for about 30 years and some things were picked off of it as the years go. But it's perfect for what we needed. It's a big engine like the Ranchero used to have. C6, which is a stouter transmission, so we can get that built. The engine actually came out of a 72 Thunderbird. The Grand Marquis originally had a 400 in it, and the owner swapped this 460 and trans into it. It will need complete rebuild. The distributor was left out of it the whole time. I did that rag yesterday because I did some washing. This was missing. Carburetor was sitting in choke mode, but still things can get in it. Passenger side manifold was gone. A couple spark plugs missing out of it. So, I mean, of course, it's gonna need a complete rebuild. Fuel pump was gone, but it's gonna be good for what we're doing. I mean, it's a big car, so we got a big engine. This has the D2VE heads on it. This is a 72, so it's the first year they really backed all the power out. So, have a lot of ideas of, we're doing this on a complete budget because, you know, my budget is basically zero. Right now, I'm so broke I can't even afford to pay attention. So we're gonna do some stuff in-house on it. First thing we're gonna have to do is separate the transmission here, get that thing out of the way, and then start tearing into this engine and see how bad it is. Okay, so we got it separated from the engine. Transmission put aside there. It's pretty nasty, but after sitting 30 years in the elements, glad to see this. Pretty shiny right there. That looks pretty good too. So, you know, this thing went up and down muddy roads all the time its whole life, and then it was drove to where it was sitting and parked. So I'm pretty optimistic about things. I worry about where all these spark plugs and stuff were left out, but we'll see how it goes. Well, I hope this isn't cross-threaded, but about to have a moment of truth here on the oil. See what we're working with here. Kind of nervous on this part. It's because it's been out in the weather. All right, let's see what we got going on here. Oh, good. Nothing. That's wonderful. An ounce of oil in there. Well, no wonder it seized up. All right, well, that explains it being a little tough to pull the plug out. All right, well, this is going, well, about normal for me. As you saw, no oil in it at all. Now I need to put it on the engine stand, and I can't get all the torque converter bolts out because I can't get the engine to spin over. So I went ahead and just set her on the ground, and we're gonna go ahead and just pull the top end off of it and get it ready, and then we'll find a way to turn it upside down. That way we can pull the whole crank and everything out of it. Pulling the top end off of it so we can look at the cylinders. We know it's froze up, no oil in it, nothing. So we'll just start pulling the top off, looking at the heads, get some of the weight off of it, and then we'll figure out how we're gonna get to the crank and everything where we can get the torque converter off and actually set it on the engine stand I have over there. So that's where we are right now. See if we can do this without breaking anything or, you know, making things worse. Good. Well, I didn't do it, but there's already one broken there, so that's good. At least it wasn't me. This is and rusted. This impact doesn't have much power anymore. So I really just kind of go easy with it so I don't snap them. They need that little vibration to break them loose. I'm always seeing videos of people get their 1/2-inch drive air impacts on them, and then they're breaking head bolts and everything. All right, let's see what we're looking at here. Moment of truth. I'm probably going to be pretty disappointed here. Oh. Yep. Great. This is going to be a fun build. Well, you can see what happens when valves, PCV valves, everything's left out of them. We got dirt daubers in here. We got all kinds of rat shit, everything in here. So I'm assuming the other side is just as bad. So I'm gonna go ahead and just put you guys on the stand and start tearing into this and see how bad it gets. Oh, perfect. Perfect. Even more. Fantastic. As you can see, the driver's side is in even better shape. I mean, look at all this crap. Good night. This is bad. This is definitely going to be the worst one I've ever dealt with. So, you know, pretty optimistic. So, shot back all the nonsense out. Of course, this thing is stuck. Like I said, there's no oil or anything in it. The owner said that when his dad drove it, he thought he was getting some chatter in the bottom of it. So I assume there's going to be some bearing spun or something on it or on their way. But he drove the vehicle like 30 miles and parked it. And it sat out there for 30 years from where I pulled it. But most of the stuff's stuck. Of course, it's a complete overhaul, guys. I'm just hoping that when we get inside this engine here, get inside the block, I hope the cylinders aren't completely destroyed. The block is still usable, even if it has to be bored. I'm hoping I don't have to bore it because that's not really in the budget, but we will see. We're gonna continue tearing her down. All right, time to see what kind of damage we got up underneath here. There we go. Got some prides now. All right, let's see if I can just. This is going to be horrendous. Oh boy. Oh my goodness. Son of a bitch. One bolt, are you kidding me? Oh yeah, beautiful. Beautiful. Yep, here we go. Same thing. Let me go ahead and clean this part out now. Well, this ain't going like I'd hoped. But that's all right because this was a freebie. And I ain't gonna complain a bit about that. So far, looks like things are usable, but we're not down to the cylinders yet. Everything's gonna have to be cleaned and machined and all that. The heads are totally full of crap. We'll have to get the heads off and look at the cylinder walls and all that stuff before we can actually make a decision on whether it's usable or not. But so far, I think it is. It just, you know, it sat with the manifold off of it and distributor out of it. So it's gonna be full of junk, and it is. So we'll just continue cleaning it out and go from there. Pretty dirty. Man, the cam is, there's no oil or anything in there, so we're gonna have pretty much everything seized, everything's gonna have to be replaced. But we're gonna work everything we can. Okay, so we got it broke loose. Let's go ahead and see what the damage is in here. We're going to let go. go. Oh boy, this is gonna be horrendous. Oh. Well, there's our head. Beautiful. Yep. Boy, oh boy. That is just beautiful. I'm gonna be optimistic on this. She's still a builder. Well, here's how much of a difference just having the exhaust manifold on one side does. This side, of course, it's still extremely dirty, but it looks so much better than that other side. A little more optimism out of this one, but she's still gonna take a lot of cleaning, a lot of work. That's all right. Well, that thing was burning on there, wasn't it? Goodness. But what I'm gonna do, shop back that stuff out like I did the other side. And I'm just gonna go ahead and pour some oil all in here because there's none in it. Pour it in here and let it sit since I'm on shift. And hopefully that'll help me be able to break this free. That way I can get those torque converter bolts out and then put this thing up on the engine stand I got over there. And that'll help us out a lot. So, okay, we just poured some oil down in the galley in each one of the cylinders here, worked it around. I'm just gonna let that sit a while. See if we have any luck. I'd much rather do that and hopefully get it to break free to get that torque converter off, like I said. Be able to get on the engine stand, do it the right way. Well, here we are a week later. I let her sit with all the oil in the cylinders and it still wasn't turning. I can't get much leverage because it's just sitting on the ground. So what I'm gonna do is just take that, flip it over, you know, do what I tried, just let all the oil go over the ground, make a mess. And then set it on some wood blocks I have here and start pulling the oil pan stuff off of it. Go ahead and pull that oil pan off and see what she looks like. And probably just start unhooking the connecting rods and all that stuff since those pistons are welded in there right now. They are stuck like two dogs. All right, moment of truth. All right. Perfect. Worse than anything else. Fantastic. Get this metropolis out of here. Wow. Pretty impressive. Those screens completely shot. Man, I just hope the mains and stuff are not bad in it. Well, this is turning out to just get better and better. Oh man, look at this. And over there in the trash can, we got the whole mouse city that was built, Rat City. I think it's safe to say the oil pump screen is, you know, it needs a little help. The front, excuse me, that's the back of the crank. Looks pretty rough. But what I'm gonna do is go ahead and break all the rods and stuff loose and start looking at bearings and see how they turn out. First cap is off. A little bit of scratching on there. Oh, sorry, get some focus for you. A little bit of scratching on it. Yeah, just a little, but we'll work this out. It's gonna need a rebuild anyway, but I was looking, I just wanna make sure the crank isn't destroyed. So even though this has got some scratches in it, not too bad. Once we get it cleaned up, we'll know more, but I'm gonna continue on to get the rest of them out and then take them over to my bench where I've got a spot to keep track of which one's which. All right, so shit got serious. Brought in the old 36, all the mains and connectors out, and those pistons ain't moving a bit, so I couldn't get the torque converter bolts out still. So I'm gonna remove the crank, set it over there, out of the way, get the remainder of the bearings out because I'm keeping track of them all. Put them over there where I've got them setting, and then finally raise that block up and put it on an engine stand. Shaft is out. You can see number 1, number 5, really rough. The rest of the mains looked actually pretty good. Here's number 1, pretty shoddy. And then number 5, same way, looked pretty rough. But all the rest looked really good. As far as connecting rods, they looked fine. So, she's still a builder. Funny enough, I got the crank out. Now I'm gonna get it where I can pull it up on my engine stand. Look what it just decided just to come out of nowhere. So, pretty sure the crank was the main thing that was froze up, unfortunately. But I'm gonna go ahead and put it up on the engine stand now and go from there. Okay, we got her tore down. So here's the assessment. It's in pretty rough shape. I think we kind of knew that. So had no oil in it when I got it, no distributor. Passenger side manifold was gone. A bunch of spark plugs were gone. It was seized. It was a mouse metropolis inside of it. Looks like the front and rear main bearing were spun. But overall, I think we're in pretty good shape. Yeah, other than that, we're fine. But if you just check it out, you know, this piston over here started coming out on its own. We'll clean it up and see what all it needs. We're gonna do a bunch of stuff right here in-house. Because one thing, I'm not dumping a bunch of money in a 460 that is never gonna get the mileage I want and everything else. I just want that thing running, sounding good, looking good to cruise around. Eventually on down the road, it'll end up making a big change and being a everyday driver. But for right now, I'm just ready to get on the road. So this thing is gonna be perfect. Appreciate you guys watching. If you haven't subscribed yet, please do that. Next episode, we're gonna tear into it further to see what we can do about cleaning it up. So appreciate you guys watching. We'll see you next time.